hi everyone. I just want to welcome everyone to the podcast Caravan of Consciousness. I haven't done anything on that podcast for quite some time. I've been doing a lot of other videos to do with alchemical meditations and processes and healing and things like that. But I wanted to reignite the Caravan of Consciousness podcast and start interviewing interesting people throughout the world again, especially now that we're going through this massive awakening and healing process of Mother Earth and all her inhabitants. So today we have got Trisha Brown here, and Trisha is a medium, a paranormal researcher, and a remote healer. On her YouTube channel, Exploring the Paranormal with Trisha Brown, she shares videos of hers and others' experiences of the unseen realms, and she also gives insights into the world of the paranormal. So welcome, Trisha.
Hi, thank you. Good job introducing me. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah, as I said, I haven't done any interviews for quite some time, so we're just kind of winging it today. This was like a bit of an impromptu thing,
Yeah.
but yeah. And for everyone out there, this is pre-recorded. I haven't done a live ever. I mean, at some stage I might build up the courage to do a live. So it's pre-recorded, and today it's the 19th, Saturday the 19th of November here in Australia, and I believe it's still Friday over there where you are.
It's the 18th here.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. But
yes.
in now, we're in the same now though.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, so that's sort of, yeah, it just goes to show time is an illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting. I was thinking about that like before our call. I was like, we're even though you're at the beginning of your day and I'm at the it's almost 5:30 p.m. here. I'm in Alabama and in the United States. And so it's just so interesting. It's just so hello.
Yes. Yes. So I first saw Patricia recently on a podcast that I subscribe to called The Pork and Beans Show. They talk about Sasquatch and other paranormal things, and yeah, so I find anything like that fascinating, and I just resonated with what you had to say there and your healing journey. So yeah, so
thank you.
So you're welcome. So yeah, do you want to sort of tell us from the beginning, like your childhood experiences, like how you started to realize, or when you started to realize that there's more to this world than what you see with your physical eyes?
Yes, it started pretty young. I was about 2, somewhere in the age when you go from your crib to your first bed. So I think I was maybe 2.5, 3, when the first experience that I had that was beyond the 5 physical senses was around that time. And this experience happened many times for years. It was like a reoccurring thing where I'd wake up and I would see fire shooting up between the head of my bed and the wall. And it was like, I'm not a religious person, but it's like the way that Moses described this fire that was inside the bush, but it wasn't burning the bush. There was no, and so for me, it wasn't burnt. There was not literally physical fire. There was no sound, there was no smell. And then it just sort of dissipated. And that happened many times throughout my childhood. And then it stopped around when I was about 12 or so. I can't remember exactly the age I was. But I will have, I have had, and I continue to have throughout my entire life, where I wake up and my eyes are open and I can see, like, I feel like I'm seeing on the astral side. I'm seeing the astral realm. I'll see different objects, different things. And then as I stare at it, it kind of dissipates and then goes away. And so with that was my first, experience with the mystical side of things when I was at that age. Yeah. And then my next really big experience was when I was about 6 or 7. And it was the time of year where it's still, you know, it's like your mom makes you go to bed, but it's like the sun is still out. You can still hear kids playing in the neighborhood, but it's your time to go to bed.
Yeah, that
So
sucks, doesn't it?
yeah,
That happened to me too, because I actually grew up I was born in England and grew up there till I was 7. I didn't come out to
oh
Australia
wow,
until I was 7. And
okay,
as you know, in the Northern Hemisphere, up where we were in Yorkshire, the sun stays up quite late in summer too. And I had the exact same experience, having to go to bed because I had school the next day, and there was other
yeah.
kids in the neighbourhood playing, and I thought it was so unfair.
Yes. Because, you know, as I tell this experience, I want people to know I wasn't sleeping. It wasn't a dream. I hadn't even gone to sleep yet. So I have gotten ready for bed, brushed my teeth, put my pajamas on, got into bed, and I'm laying on my back. And all of a sudden I feel or sense that there is a flowing mass of energy coming out of the corner ceiling of my room, like the right corner ceiling of my room. And that is, as far as I can remember, my first experience with having like a psychic, you know, an inner senses experience where I literally can't see it, but I know it's happening. And it just it keeps this massive energy, it just keeps flowing into the room. Kind of like, I don't know, mist, but you know, because it's just gently coming into the room and it's filling up the space in the room, all like at the back of my room, and then coming along the side of my bed. And it, over the years, after I forgot about it for a long time. And then there was when I was about 34, when I was having all these experiences, I was like, when did these start? And then I had these early memories. And so since then, as I went to spiritual studies school and like my constant gathering knowledge, I was like, what was I feeling? You know, people are like thinking that everything is on the lower energy realm of things. Like they're always, you know, because a lot of people, or there's just a lot of TV shows out there that it's just about these earthbound spirits and the lower vibrational spirits.
And because
so
they like keeping people in fear. So
yeah, and this wasn't that at all. So it wasn't like that. It was just, you know, it was that I was feeling something that had such a powerful energy, and it was so massive, like a gigantic form that was bringing itself into the space, like a genie into a bottle almost.
Yeah.
And the size, I could, you know, I've realized it was just such a large size. Okay, so this massive energy, you know, is in the room. And I don't remember if it was that this happened only one time or if it was more than one time, but I only remember this one time. After that happened, my life, it was like it woke me up or something. You know, at the time I didn't know exactly who it was or whatever, but I knew time started to feel different, sometimes sped up and sometimes slowed down. And it just felt like my body was trying to acclimate to something. You know, I'd be in school and whatever second grade or whatever third or whatever grade it was, just trying to maintain myself as a kid as I was having these weird feelings going on. And so I started hearing Om in the middle of the night, like that sound of silence, that humming sound in the middle of the night.
Yep.
And I was like, I just like, as I'm thinking about it right now, it's like it just happened, you know, this in the middle of the night. And is everyone hearing this? Is this only me that's hearing this? Like, wow, what is this, you know, type thing. I mean, I grew up doing a lot of camping, and when you're out in the woods, it's pretty quiet out there. It can be quiet if there's no like crickets chirping. It's the sound of silence, but it was a really like the primordial sound of the universe. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that happened. And then I had my first seeing a spirit. Later that year, or maybe the year after, at my aunt and uncle's house. And then like this precognition ability, being able to like know what I needed to do ahead of time, like being able to see farther down the path.
Yeah.
And I started calling it really good deductive reasoning. My intuition kicked in strong, like, okay, so these sorts of things. So I found out last year, I was talking to a woman that really is connected to the archangels, because when I went to spiritual study school, and part of we learn about the different archangels, we learn about the angels, we know these different classes that I was in. And I felt like after that experience of being at my spiritual study school, that it was maybe an archangel that came to visit me.
Yes, I was actually going to ask, did you think it was your higher self or an angel or an archangel? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know which archangel? Was it Michael?
I did find out. Yes. So I told her about this experience. And so she said it was archangels Metatron and Sandalphon
Oh, okay.
that were
Yep.
there.
Yep.
And she said that Metatron placed his cube over me for protection, for I forget all the things she said, but it was like for helping me and waking me up, raising my vibration so that I could handle this awakening
Yep.
that was happening.
Yes.
And it just made such sense.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, it was like, why did it take so many years to finally know that?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I know, that there's reasons why.
Yes.
You have to go over here, and then you have to go over there, and over that thing, and over there to, so
Yeah.
so that was really neat to get that verification.
Yes. And did you
You know?
feel as a child that you came in to this incarnation to do great things? Like, did you always have a sense? Because I did. I always knew I could never put my finger on what it was, and I was always soul searching, and I was having many fingers in many pies while I was trying to do my spiritual supermarket shopping, as I call it.
I like that.
I think I got that from Louise Hay years ago when I was reading a lot of the Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer and all those sort of
Oh my God, we
metaphysical
have
books.
so many things in common
Yeah.
that we are interested in.
I know. Yeah. And but I always, even before I started looking at all that sort of stuff, even as a child, I just knew I was here to do something great, not in an egotistical sense, but I was here for something big. And it's not until the last few years, especially the last couple of years, that I now know. And as I said before we started recording today, it's almost like we're finding our tribe, and it's like all people from all walks of life and all parts of the world are coming together for this mass awakening and this raising of the collective, raising our vibration and
Yeah.
healing ourselves, healing our collective and our individual souls, and also Mother Earth. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I got off track there. So yes,
That's
what was
okay.
the
Yeah.
question? Oh, that's right. I asked, did you come in feeling that you had something big to do? And do you think that's also why Metatron was there, probably to help guide you and protect you and yeah.
Well, it's interesting because a little later in my life, I felt these big things that I want to do and want, at the times in my early 30s. I was like, all of a sudden I was like, I want to go to the ancient ruins. This is what I was saying at that time. I want to go to the ancient ruins. I want to be able to put my hands on the buildings. I want to be able to tune in and understand why were these buildings put here, and be able to tune into the non-physical and learn from them, and use my abilities. One of the ways to use my abilities in the world. But in my early years, I was I just knew that at a very young age, I was very aware. And my first sort of some of my couple early memories was standing up in my crib and looking out at the hallway and, having these sort of conscious thoughts, like, where is everyone,
Yeah.
a couple of these different really early memories. And then just, I was adopted, when I was 6 weeks. So, and then since, within the last, whatever, 5 years, I've done some work where you go back into your mother's womb, and then you can kind of understand, or you really get to understand what was her life like, really connect to your mom
Yeah.
and understand what was going on with her, and and so I've been able to do that. And so going from that experience to then, I was in a foster home for about a little under 6 weeks. Then I was adopted to this couple. And so I remember being around 2.5 or 3 and thinking that, some thoughts about wanting my dad, the man. I wanted the man to come home.
Yeah.
Because I remember thinking that he was more fun than the lady, basically. I'm paraphrasing. I don't want to be like too personal, but I'm just saying, like, I had that awareness of people's energy and who they were. And I was able to have really good cognitive ability at a very young age. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
so it helped me even before. So I feel like I've been being guided and helped along the way, even before having that memory when I was 6 or 7,
Yeah.
because I remember, and this is deep stuff, but I like doing deep work with people. I mean, I'm a deep person. I think it's good to know who you are and your early years. And I was outside in the backyard playing. I was about, I don't know, the age when you're getting potty trained.
Yeah.
Okay. It was like, I was just newly not wearing my diaper.
Yeah.
And I knew I knew I had to go to the bathroom. And so I went to go open the sliding glass door, and I couldn't open it. Like it wouldn't open. And I could hear my mom inside vacuuming. And at that time in my life, I hadn't learned, okay, I'll just go, like, go over into the, in the dirt and pee.
Yeah.
I'm saying, so I didn't know, like, okay, I had no other choice. I didn't think of any other option, but I'm just gonna have to pee in my pants. I didn't want to. I had this thought process
Yeah.
that she was gonna say something about me not being a good girl, or, whatever, because I peed in my pants. But really it's her, she's the mom,
Yeah.
and she locked me out of the house. I knew that. I
Yeah.
had that awareness, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what she did. And so growing up, knowing that I had more of these higher understandings as a little kid than these grown-ups
Yeah.
around me. Okay.
Yes.
So that was, way back then. I also started really early at gathering knowledge on, mind, body, spirit stuff.
Yeah.
When I was about, I don't know, 3rd or 4th grade, I was super athletic. Oh my God, like super powerful. Like I also knew at a really young age how to use, what in the martial arts, when they're talking about chi and how you stand in a certain posture and you're able to, like, really be very powerful. I've known how to do that since I was a little kid. And so I could do things really well, throw far, kick far, aim, just really good at sports. And we were having a softball throw where, in elementary school, where you would stand on the edge of the grass and you'd throw as far as you can into the field and look where it landed, and then go sit in that spot, and everyone would sit in their spot, and then you'd see who threw the farthest. And so when it came to doing sports with regular kids, I could do things way more ahead of them.
Yeah.
And so I realized that I didn't need to win, because I could have thrown the ball like all the way on the other side of the field into the dirt.
Yeah.
And so I let some of the other girls go first, and then I threw the ball. I aimed the ball to land, like, so that this other girl would win or whatever. And right when I did that, this one girl says, "Why did you do that, Trisha? You could have totally won." And I just was like, it's okay. But that
Yeah.
was my first awareness. Like when I look back at that, that I was not wanting to fully stand out,
Yeah.
to kind of hold myself back from
Yes.
my power, from my true, authentic force of myself. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, hold on a second.
That's okay.
So, that's been a theme in my
Yeah.
life, where either someone, it bothers someone,
Yeah.
whoever
It's
I am, how I
it's
am.
like there's there's a saying that I heard years ago about shining your light, and
Mhm.
like who I think it might have been a big long poem, and it was something to do with, who am I to shine my light, because I might make other people feel lesser than, but
Right.
then if I do shine my light, I'll also be shining it so that other people can shine their, I can't remember
Mhm.
exactly, but
It's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
you don't want
I
to.
had this, sort of pattern where in regular, I'm going to say regular life, like when I was playing a sport with the people that were at my level, I could go full out, and
Yeah.
I was finding my tribe or my people or whatever, and I could really just be myself. And I was on winning teams like throughout my life, and then winning individual sports. But when you'd go be, at work in a normal environment, and you had been, you go in and there's these women who are whatever, judging you, they feel threatened by you, all the
Yeah.
things, right?
Yeah.
And so it affected, I let it affect me, because it kept
Yeah.
happening.
Yes.
And then you second guess yourself, and then you're like, okay, after a while you're like, I'm gonna, I don't want to say the word diminish myself, but I'm gonna try to not stand out anymore,
Yeah.
because it's
Just
not,
blend in and
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So I started veering towards that way in my life, and then that's not making me happy,
Yeah.
you know? And then people who, they want to teach you something, and you're holding yourself back because you're like, you're not wanting to say, I know, because, so last couple of years, or the last year and a half, I've been really having this, I'm not going to hold myself back anymore. I'm going to say what I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to not diminish myself so that someone else might feel better about
Yes.
themselves, because then that other person's not going to like it, or they're, know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I'm just going to be me
Yeah.
as best as I can, and find my own tribe, the people
Yes.
that get me, that we're in the same wavelength, we're the same understandings.
Yeah.
So so I just wanted to mention, I've been more brave about sharing this stuff, because I've been doing my own work too.
Yes.
I decided a long time ago that no matter what I do for work, I was a dental assistant for a lot of years. I've worked with kids a lot in my life too. And the different work that I've done, I want to learn as best as I can, and I'm not a perfectionist, but I enjoy doing a really good job. I have really
Yes.
high
Yeah.
integrity. I'm from California, and it's a progressive state where things are, technology is, and so forward thinking, and use your brain, be intelligent. And so I have just decided that I'm going to go, I need to be able to know what I'm talking about. If I'm going to tell somebody what to do in their lives, I have to make sure that I'm doing my thing that I need to do for me too.
Yes.
I'm not just pointing the finger going, you need to do that or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the more and more, like, if I'm guided to tell someone like, do this or do that or suggest, then I have this little thing in myself going, okay, there's that thing that you're still working on too. Remember that.
Yes, exactly.
So I don't I'm not being arrogant or whatever. I'm just saying I do my part too in myself. It's really important to me. So,
yes, I think that's happening a lot at the moment. I think we're coming into the age of healers healing healers. And
yes.
And the wounded healer is finally, starting to do that inner reflection, and by healing themselves, they're also helping to heal other people as well, or facilitating other people to heal. Because that's one thing,
exactly,
even though we call ourselves healers, that's one thing. When I did my Reiki back in the 90s, I think one of the first questions the Reiki master said to everyone in the class was, who's here to learn to be a healer? And of course we all put our hands up, and he said, well, you may as well walk out the door right now. And we're like, huh? What are you talking about? And he goes, you're not the healer. You're the facilitator. You're the conduit. You're the channel. The healing comes from the divine, from source, from, all you are is that channel, and you're allowing that energy to come through so that the person you're working with is able to heal using that energy.
Good words, and I have been a person that, how it's this to not label someone, right? Like, it's kind of in society, it's you say who the person is. And I've had people tell me who I am, oh, you're a healer, you're a light worker. I am, or, whatever. Or, what do you do? It's like, then you have to say what your career is, or, it's like, I'm a human being on this planet, like, so yes, that is the word that made that felt really good to me too. The word facilitator. Helping, like, I like really teaching people about understanding about what are you thinking about? What are you feeling? What emotion are you feeling? And then, like, understanding about your beliefs about things, about the messages that you heard, all these things, because if I, when I do my work, it's important to me that the person wants it. They're going to tell me, a lot of time, there's a medium, her name's Teresa Caputo. And she kind of had where it started off where she'd be out living life, and then she'd be like at the bakery or at the grocery store, and then she'd feel like compelled. I'm maybe that's not the exact words that she would use, but this such urge to go and give that person a message. And so I have a similar thing with my work. I have different hats that I wear. I might pass along like a message, like be a channel, like all of a sudden I feel super compelled to like tell someone something, or, whatever it is, which I can, I'll go more detail, but I'm just saying, like, the person has to know that they're participating in their healing.
Yes, exactly.
They have to be thinking the right thoughts. They may need to let go of some thoughts that haven't been helping them. And then they're going to, they have to want to have these new thoughts, these more beneficial thoughts, so that they're going to attract to them health, wellness, the positive things. Not bring it right back in, not bring in that right back, the vibration of dis-ease or whatever, so yeah, it's there's different things that I've really wanted to make sure that I've done my own work and learned as best as I can so that I can be the best facilitator.
Yes.
And I've taken psychology classes. I've also just done seminars and workshops and anything to just gain as much knowledge as I can on relationships and interpersonal skills and conflict resolution and how best to handle any situation. I mean, I'm
Yep.
human. I'm not perfect. I
Yes.
still have some triggers and stuff like that that I work through.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, yes, I knew in 2019 that there was something that I hardly watch the news. Okay.
Yep.
Like I don't purposely watch the news. If it happens to be on somewhere where I happen to be, I mostly will make myself hear blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But
Like Charlie Brown.
yes, that's the second time.
The teacher in Charlie Brown.
Yes. But there's times where I will feel like I just to listen in for a second, just so I kind of have an idea of what's going on at that moment. And then that happened in 2019. There was something that was said on the news that I all of a sudden was like, this is going to bring change. The whole the quarantining, and then I started having this realization that the earth, I think a lot about the earth, the whole planet, when I imagine, like you said earlier, it's like, I want to be able to help anyone from around the world. Or help the animals, the plants, the currents, the earth in a whole state, right?
Yep.
So I just was having these sort of awarenesses that this whole thing was slowing some vibrations down that were maybe getting a little too carried away. And then it was going to be speeding up other vibrations. I saw a lot of prosperity coming for people. I saw people getting an opportunity to realize that they can think outside the box in their own life.
Yeah.
Because there's this robot life happening out there. You get up, you go to work, you do this, and then you go to bed, and then you get, this
the rat race.
Yeah. And so there's more to it, and like slowing oneself down, taking a step back and realizing that this is your own life, that you can have it be what you want it to be.
Yeah.
And so I just saw a whole lot of that at that time in 2019 and 2020. I saw that the earth was getting a chance to rest from the humans. The animals were getting to be away from the humans, the air quality, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that there obviously was people, having, getting sick, and there were people that died. But I'm just saying that I was able to see this other side that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
This entire planet in the same consciousness, having a group consciousness of the human race.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, obviously some of the tribes and stuff maybe were, not included in Africa or, different areas of the world where they're still kind of doing their thing. But you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
All that stuff was, was really interesting that I was able to see. And I just kind of have known this. To me, it's kind of like, hey, look, the sky's blue. And I'm like, duh.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's really nice though. I really thank you so much for, reaching out to talk to me, because it's so nice to know that you're over there on the other side of the world and we have such similar knowings, interests, common ground. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's definitely a time for healing, I think, because in the last probably since about 2008, 2009, I started to really wake up to a lot of the darker things. Before
Okay.
that, I was into all the sort of, I've always been into sort of what people term the New Age sort of philosophies and metaphysics and all that sort of stuff. Although, like I said before we started recording, I do think the New Age movement was a lot of psychological operation. For different reasons and different agendas, and it kind of steered people away from doing the real inner work and the real healing, and just glossing over things and not doing the shadow self, you know, the shadow side of the healing part of the journey and things like that. But I started to really go down some rabbit holes and realize that there's a lot of darkness here, but it's good because it's being purged. It's now had a light shone on it. It's being purged. It's coming out to the mass consciousness as well. There's still a lot of people out there that are, you know, just in total 3D and don't see anything
Right.
outside of, you know, what's in
That's
there.
okay.
Yeah,
That's their
but
path.
that's their journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, because now this has all sort of happened, and we've come to this mass awakening, and it's like we're lifting the vibration of the
Mhm.
consciousness of humanity. It's
Yeah.
This is where we do need a lot of the healing, because there has been a lot of darkness for I don't know how long, thousands of years, you know, tens of thousands, who knows. But there's always been this undercurrent that we were unaware of. And I've gone down so many different rabbit holes in the last few years. But finally now I've done enough of the researching in that area. And
Yeah.
it's now time to shine a light, but also to heal, and to help others heal as well. So I think it's really important, the work that we're doing. And the last 2 years, you're right, it's snapped a lot of people out of complacency, out of being in a trance, just going along to get along. And as you
Yeah.
say, getting people to think outside the box. You know, so many more people are becoming aware of things. People that I would have spoken to about this sort of thing, you know, even 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and they would have thought I was absolutely crazy. And now they're coming to me with stuff, and they're like, "Oh, did you hear about this? Or did you know this? Or did you see that?" And so more and more people are now becoming aware and awake, and it's just so exciting. I mean, we're still in a bit of tumultuous ground at the moment, but I've always felt that throughout all this, it's part of the growth. And also that saying, it's always darker, you know, the darkest hour is before the dawn. And I do feel that there is definitely a lot of optimism. We will get through this, and there is going to be, you know, like a lot more prosperity for everybody, a lot more peace. More and more
Mhm.
people are going to be doing what they're passionate about, you know, loving what they do and doing what they love, rather than just
Yeah.
working in a dead end job just to get along. So
Right.
yeah, it's
And
really,
oh, go ahead.
oh
Sorry.
yeah, I was just going to say, it's really exciting to be alive. I mean, yes, I still have my ups and downs, and
Mhm.
don't watch the news either. I haven't watched mainstream TV for years, probably since the 90s, since I really started digging deep into Louise Hay, like the
Oh
late
yeah.
80s and
Love
90s.
her.
Yeah, and so, but you do hear, you know, you see it on social media, you hear people talking, you hear it on the
Right.
radio. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's been times where I have, you know, dipped down and been like, oh my goodness, you know, what's going on
Mhm.
here? But then I've got to pull back and just go, look, this is just, uh, it's almost like it is a movie. It's just playing out,
Right.
and I know at
Yeah.
the end of the day that, you know, goodness and godliness and the light has won. We've already won, and we're already, you know, living in this higher vibration. We're just going through the process of getting there, and the little steps that it takes. And yeah, so it's just so, yeah, so exciting to be alive. And yeah, and I
You know,
remember,
it's go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I remember years ago when some of the books I was reading, and they were talking about this, you know, golden age and the great
Oh yeah.
awakening, and I really had no idea at the time exactly how it was all going to unfold. I guess nobody did really. And it's totally different to what I imagined. In some ways, it's been more of a challenge, because I don't know what I actually thought now. It's hard. It's like when you have a concept in your mind of someone's house, and then you go there and you actually
Oh
see it
yeah.
in reality, and then you try and
Mm.
remember what you imagined it like before you've seen it with your own eyes, and sometimes you can't even
Yes.
remember how you
Right.
imagined it. Yeah, well, that's like, I'm thinking back now, how did I actually imagine that the golden age or the awakening was going to happen? I can't really remember now. But it's just because it's unfolded the way it has, it just is what it is. But
Right.
yeah.
So the way I've been living my life for a while, I was a dental assistant for a lot of years, and I decided I did not want to do that life anymore, where, your structure of Monday, it was like Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, whatever. And so I decided, I was starting to think more of like, what would I'd rather be doing? And I started going back to school. I got into dog training. I'm really good with animals. And so for a while, I would say since 2006 or so, I have kind of been away from some normal, I don't know, I say normal, that's not the word, like a routine, like
Yeah.
a life routine where you go out, you're around certain, amount of the public, so I've just been doing my own thing for a very long time. And then I went to yoga teacher training in 2008. And I was there for like a month. And when I came out, I stayed in an ashram. And when I came out, wow, life, um, I was at a completely different level of awareness. And then I went back to the dental field for a while, and I felt different. Like things that were still meaningful to people were not to me. Like I just
Yep.
was seeing things in a completely different way. And also, for as long as I can remember, I feel very like connected to people. I can see who they really are, but they're still caught up in maybe their personality, their thing. And so I might want to have a really close relationship with them, and they're not that way. So
Yep.
that was hard for me too. And then it was really hard for me when I came back out of there and going back out into the world. I was super heightened, super sensitive. And so when you say that there's a lot going on, like there's a lot of like I forget what the word you use, turmoil or something, I can't remember, but like I just don't see it because I'm not looking at that.
Yeah.
I just have been kind of, it's, in my journey with learning metaphysics, like I really, really wanted to go down the rabbit hole with understanding metaphysics
Yep.
way beyond The Secret. I mean, The Secret really does teach you some stuff, but I realized that I had been thinking things that they were talking about in The Secret since I was a little kid. I had been, been doing what they were talking about.
Yep.
And part of what they talked about was visualization. I realized I'm really super good at visualization, and some other things and so but I really wanted to understand, like, okay, so if you're feeling really good and all of a sudden someone comes out of nowhere and is a total jerk to you, I want to understand what they're talking about when they say, like, there's something in you that the vibration that allowed that situation to happen. So I've been really, really going deep into understanding these things so that
Yep.
my life can be as stable and happy and peaceful and calm and exhilarating, all the words that I want to use for my life: joyful, adventurous, whatever, right?
Yep.
And so um in my studies, and this is science too, what I'm talking about here,
Yep.
spiritual, science, metaphysical, psychology, it all goes together.
Yep.
So oh gosh, what was I just going to say?
Well, you were talking
So
about if someone else comes in with a lower vibration, and
yeah,
you said
somebody
so.
comes in
Yeah.
and you're like, and then so you're trying to understand, I don't understand because I was feeling really happy, and how could that possibly have worked out, so I really wanted to, understand this, like open the clock and look at the mechanism
Yeah.
of the way our universe works, so I've been really, going down deep into these teachings. So because, I've had, times in my life that were great, and I've had times in my life that I kept seeming to attract, the same type of people in my life and whatever. And so for me, in my studies of metaphysics and a little bit of physics, that, there is a negative and a positive in every particle. And, so it's like, okay, I get that. And then have you heard of Abraham Hicks?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. They're like my best friends.
Yeah.
I really, really listen to them, and I've learned a lot from them. And I can tell you my life has really, I've taken their teachings to, very seriously, and applying the
Yeah.
teachings, because, I mean, I want to have good experiences in life. So I understand about what you focus on, what you think about,
You bring
and what you
about.
feel
Yeah.
about. Yeah, you're going to bring people like it, situations like it, etc. And
Yeah.
so I think that we're all here for different reasons.
Yeah.
We're all
Do you
here
think
to use it.
karma plays a part in that too? Do you think if you are plodding along, and living your best life, and then you have these challenging people come in, do you think sometimes it could be you're wrapping up karmic stuff from a previous life, or,
I
do
don't
you?
think, I don't know if I really can see it the way that karma is explained, where it's as if it's like a payback or something, or like I can see it maybe like a cause and effect in a
Yeah.
way, but
Yeah.
also it's just understanding that there's vibrations, and so it's like, that's one of the things that I really wanted to understand in my life was, okay, so in my early years, even as a kid, okay, so what was going on in my life? What was I attracting? What was in my life? And then there was definitely sort of like a bipolar experience where I had all these great things, and but I had to deal with, dysfunctional family stuff.
Yeah.
And so I don't know exactly when it started. I mean, it could have started when I was first coming in from the non-physical into the
Yes.
physical, into my mother's womb,
Yeah.
and that she was, whatever she was going through. And so then I don't know, like, I don't know exactly, but I've done my as best I can to just say, okay, well, all I know is that I'm in the here and now.
Yeah.
Here I am right now, and that the universe is always moving forward. It's always in a new now. I'm going to start in this now. What do I want right now?
Yeah.
And then, okay, so I'm taking a deep breath. I'm right here, right now. What's the best things that are going on in my now?
Yeah.
What can I appreciate? So I'm putting my vibration in a high state. I'm feeling appreciation, and that's a high level
Yeah.
appreciation.
And gratitude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so gratitude is really good too. And Abraham, they talk about how appreciation is higher than gratitude in a way, because you can feel gratitude like, oh my God, I'm so grateful I made it through that. That's a little bit lower of a vibe. I mean, it's a high vibration, but there's
Yeah.
a little bit of like, oh my God, I made it through that, as opposed to just feeling appreciation for what
Yeah.
you have right in front of you. Because there's so many things that does. It makes you be right in the present.
Yeah.
You're appreciating, and that puts a vibration inside of you. So I'm just saying, like, I've spent a lot of time understanding that yes, there's different aspects of healing. There's the inner work stuff. There's the going back and understanding, like, things like, why am I like I am? Where did my personality come from? Okay, so there's a technique where what happened to you between, what was going on with you between the age of, let's say, 3 to 6, and then 15 to 18 or something, and then 18 to 22. And then in those 3 time frames, that kind of makes you who your early person, who you are, is. Well, okay, so I'm like, okay, well, let me look at myself. Okay, when I was, at that age when I was in the backyard and I had to like, I had to be a good girl, these different things that we say to ourselves, like, oh, I have to be a good girl. Like,
Yeah.
I have to be good, or, whatever. So that makes you be who you are in your personality. But then you can decide, okay, so I was thinking that thought from a 3-year-old's perspective.
Yes.
And here I am now as whatever age, when I was first learning this in my early 30s. So let's say I was 32. I'm like, okay, so I'm maybe still thinking some thoughts from a 3-year-old's thought, or a 15-year-old's thought, or a 19-year-old's thought. Okay, I can start now. What do I want to think now?
Yeah.
Who am I now? So there's just these different approaches at it.
Yeah.
So with the metaphysics, though, it's the understanding, like, in your now is your most powerful.
Yes.
And I choose, I want, I like, I prefer having the best case scenarios in my life.
Yep.
There may be something not good happening over there, but I don't have to participate in it. That doesn't mean I don't care that, those, but I don't have control over that.
Yeah, you only have control over your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own
And
life.
I want to have the best case scenario in my life. I choose to focus on the things that interest me.
Yep.
And so so I don't pay attention that much about the dark side of life.
Yep.
Because I really kind of, paid attention to, like, I understand this momentum, the momentum of attraction, the momentum of energy. When you're in the middle of not good experiences, you have to make sure that you slow those vibrations down by doing certain things. And then at the same time, you're looking over here at, good things.
Yep.
There's just all these different techniques around it. And it's mattered to me because, for one, I just enjoy having amazing things happen in my life. That's so fun.
Yes.
So there's that. But also too, as I practice these techniques, live through them, I can help someone else if they want.
Yep.
If they're like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm tired of dealing with whatever, bad boyfriends or whatever, or jobs that I hate, or these living situations, or my car's problems, or whatever the things.
Yeah.
Okay, well then, so I've really taken the time to really gather as much information as I can from so many different areas. Like, I'm brimming over with information.
Yeah. So what are some of the healing modalities that you do? Like, what healing do you offer people? I'm really interested in the technique that you spoke about on the Pork and Beans show.
Yeah, let's talk about that first. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one, it's a combination of 2 modalities, healing modalities. I call it distance healing, or you can call it remote healing, same thing.
Yeah.
Distance healing with color and sound therapy. And so when I learned color and sound therapy, I took that class, that course at Delphi University of Spiritual Studies. It's an experiential type experience where you are learning the reading the material, but you're also experiencing how it works with being the therapist and the person on the table.
Yeah.
And so when they were teaching us the color and sound therapy, I felt like I was remembering it from knowing it for thousands of years or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like, oh my God, this is one of those things in my life where like sports, like, oh, here, learn this. And I'm like, okay. And then the next thing I know, I'm like really good at it, you
Yeah.
know, and then it comes to me really easy or like naturally or whatever, you know, type thing.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So, and then I really understood this knowing that, you know, a thought is a thing. A thought is a frequency. You can think of someone on the other side of the world and do this work. I knew that. But when you're learning it in a setting that of where I was at, it's like a mystery school where it's you're away from, it's often the, you know, on acres, you know, on land, away from town. So you're really able to like really go deep into it.
Yep.
And so what I started doing was asking healers, energy workers, shamans, anyone that, whatever name you want to put on them, that understands subtle energy, that has had their own mystical experiences, that is tuned into their spirit guides, as you know, just all different types of people. You know, let me do this on you so then you can give me feedback while I practice my own putting these two together.
Yeah.
So that I can do this around the world. So, I mean, it's using, so it's understanding everything has a frequency, everything is energy, and it vibrates at a certain speed, and color corresponds to the chakras. It's understanding that using your tone of your voice. So it's using tuning forks, it's using color and sound, and you focus on all the chakras. There's a specific, you know, routine that you do. I'm calling in the energies of love, light, and healing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling in Metatron, Avraam, and Lao Tzu, and my higher self, and whoever else, whoever, you know, the other person's people,
Yeah.
my people, come on in. Let's do this. Let's do this work. You know,
Yeah.
let's bring the energy to the person. So I'm channeling it through me, and then it goes out my hands, goes to the person, and also my intention and my visualization is it's as if the person could literally be in the room. The way it works,
Yeah.
it's working the same like that if they're right in front of me.
Yeah.
And so I started off with imagining that they were on, like laying on my bed, and I would do my work. And I realized after a little while, you know, I could do it however I want.
Yeah.
So I started having where I would imagine that they were hovering in midair, so I could just stand straight up tall, don't have to like lean over and stuff like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
I could stand up, and then I could put my hand under them. And so I could put my hand, like, let's say on the small of their, under the small of their back, or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then I have my hand on top. So I'm like in the spleen area.
Yeah.
So I just started being really creative with it. And so I do the tuning forks, you know, the F, let's say F corresponds to the heart chakra. So you bang the C with the F, and you know, and it's an exact pattern. So it's harmonizing the frequency of the chakras. It's also, you know, because of the way metaphysics works, this sound is exactly what it should be. So if there's a vibration in the chakra, or you know, a disharmony, it has to leave the body.
Yeah.
It's physics.
Yes.
Okay. So now, I don't know if we talked about this before we start, you know, recording, but you know, the person has to be aware that they're part of their healing.
Yeah. Yes.
and that they have to, you know, take on some new ways of thinking about things. Because if they just continue back to the same, you know, they have to understand that when you have a physical condition, that there's a mental aspect to it, there's a emotional aspect to it, and there's, you know, memories and things that have happened in life. And if you spend a lot of time thinking about that, or remembering about that, or you're angry about that, or you're fearful about that, you're going to, if it's really done a lot, you're going to bring it closer and closer and closer to you. And now it's in your aura, and then that starts manifesting in your body.
Yeah.
And that, this is not new age though. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a physiological response.
Yes.
That we all understand, that if you're stressed out, what happens? Your heart beats faster.
Yes.
You can have digestive issues because it starts upsetting your stomach. You know, so it's not like this is not like just some made up thing.
Yeah, well, I learned this through EFT tapping about what it does, you know, with the hormones that course through the body, the adrenals, you know, things like that. Yeah, and it does have an actual, your thoughts and your feelings do actually have a physical outcome on the body, and it does manifest in the cells, and in and you have the fight or flight, and then all your cells are resonating at that energy. Yes.
So when I'm working with someone, it's a combination of a lot of the different modalities that I learned over the years. I you know, at Delphi, there were so many different modalities that, you know, there's a type of energy healing where it's a kind of a light, it's like a light touching of the skin, or above the skin, where you're churning up the energy, and then you flush it out.
Yeah.
And there's you know, that's called like a lotus session. There's one where, and I love this one, where you have the person like either where it's kind of a chair that sits on the ground, and then the person's laying on the ground and their head is like right in front of you. And then you put your hands like right on each side of their head and under their, the back of their head. And then you kind of have them go into a relaxed state where they're breathing and closing their eyes, and they're relaxing, and it's changing their brain waves and slowing their heart rate down. And then you start lifting them up, that you and that person are like rising into the higher frequencies.
Yeah, it sounds similar to craniosacral.
Is it?
It's very similar. I haven't done craniosacral myself, but I've had it done, and it sounds very similar to that. That's the
okay.
Yeah.
So then I'm able to kind of know what to say to them, know what to ask them, and they're able to really go there and say the thing, or remember the thing, or that memory of the thing, or that puzzle piece that had, you know, there's just a lot of healing in that particular one. Past life regression therapy. I've been certified in that. So these different modalities, you know, and so one of the ways is, you know, I wanted to go there for mediumship. You know, that is why I first went there. Mediumship.
Yeah.
And learning how to raise my consciousness so that I was in like a prosperity range of consciousness. And, you know, so I've done a lot of studying about the different aspects of what does prosperity mean, you know, that kind of thing. So mediumship, you know, there are so many different ways to use mediumship. And I have experienced that in all the different ways I learned of mediumship, I've been able to have an experience with, whether it's connecting with the spirit, where I started coughing, you know, like, and found out that the little boy, he had like a what do you call it? Like a bronchial issue, like a extreme bronchitis. And, you know, that's, you know, and then we do readings. We had to do readings, like a cold reading. That's like my least favorite thing to do, but they would have somebody come in and they would ask some questions, what would be good for me to do? And I would be able to say, you know, you might want to do some yoga or do some like, you know, some type of breathing relaxation techniques and, you know, these sorts of things. And they would tell me that made total sense to me, you know, all that kind of stuff. We also did one where you have a facilitator, you have your person who takes you into the relaxed state, and then they know who they want you to focus on, the person's body or what's going on in their body. And so she was saying, so this, okay, now what's going on in the person's skeletal system?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say whatever was coming to me. Okay, what's going on in the reproductive system? What's going on, you know, whatever, through each system of the body.
Yeah.
And I would, you know, be able, you know, I've realized that I really can see into the body.
Yeah,
But
so
the
that's
way
like
I
an
do
intuitive,
yeah,
healing. Yeah, intuitive.
yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so, but what I do is I see the wellness, like I see what the body is supposed to be doing.
yeah,
But in this thing, I was able to kind of pinpoint, like there's something with the ovaries and there's something in the brain. And she's like, you were right. You know, so I have this ability while I'm doing my color and sound therapy. I started then taking notes because I would be guided to combine these colors together and go in this part of the body, and then, you know, take a note about this, and, you know, these different things. It's like all the different things were coming together as I was doing this modality.
yeah,
And so then it's about 45, 50 minutes. They're in their house. I say, wear white or light colored clothes. I wear white. I take this seriously. This is important. This is sacred
yeah,
work.
yes,
It's deep work.
yeah,
And I play a very high spiritual music. And I say to the person, you know, play music that also is, you know, very peaceful meditation music or something that you're going to be in a very relaxed state.
yeah,
And just lay down, and then we get, and I say, okay, so what is your intention for the healing? I take my notes, and then I say, okay, now set your phone on all the sound off, but that your alarm will go off in 50 minutes. Because if they fall asleep, which is okay,
yeah,
I'm going to call them. They need to be able to know to be awake so that they can get my call. And then I'm going to talk to them. What was it like for you?
yeah,
And I've been taking notes, and I've been able to verify at the time when I was in that chakra and got that message, they were feeling this or that.
yeah,
And people who understand this, like feel subtle energy, they were
yes,
like confirming and verifying things, like, wow, my spirit guides came in and I really got some amazing information, or whatever, you know, just everyone has a different experience.
yeah,
Okay. If it's with people that aren't quite understanding that level of awareness, they still feel things. They tell me that they have solutions pop in their mind, you know, these different things. And then there's the people that they just fell asleep, or
yeah,
they feel super relaxed and peaceful.
yeah, but there's still stuff going on. They're just unaware of it.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
So I say to people, take notes when I'm talking to you, when I'm telling you stuff, take notes, because it might not make sense to you right now. You know, I might be able to pick up on something that you're not aware of, because I can see behind people's blind spots.
yeah,
And so I'll be compelled or guided to suggest certain things to them or say certain things to them. It's always coming from the highest, most positive, helpful things.
yeah,
In my school, it was like being a psychic is this level, and being a medium is this level, let's say, where you're coming at it from giving, being as helpful as you can possibly be.
Yes.
This isn't about, oh, your husband's cheating on you, something like that.
Yeah.
This is very, my work with people, whether it's doing this color and sound therapy or just having a conversation with someone, and I'm guided to tell them to do this relaxation technique, or to, do this, say these things to your loved one, giving them perspectives that they never thought of. It changes their life.
Yeah.
Like there's something in it that from then forward, they have a puzzle piece.
Yes.
Something. So there's multiple ways that I'm able to help someone,
Yeah.
And so with the color and sound, I mean, that's a lot of physical healing, emotional healing, mental healing, and then the way it works in our body, there's exit points where energy leaves the body. And, when we're learning that in school. And so one time I was like, I wanted one of the instructors to do this, the color and sound on me. So during the session, I had where I saw like a flash in my mind's eye of, a scene play out. And when you have that, that's a message for you to decipher and, figure out. And then there's a part where, I'm laying on my back and I had those, the knee pillow, like the round pillow under your knees. Okay. So all of a sudden it was like there was a ball, like the size of a softball underneath my knee, behind my knee. And it lifted my leg up above the pillow. And it was like energy released out right there.
Yeah.
And it felt like it just, like my skin expanded that big as the energy of whatever released out of my body.
Yes.
And so here he was being the facilitator. He teaches this. And when I tell him, he's like, no way. So it's always amazing when people tell you their experiences, because you're like, wow, really? I mean, people might hear things, they may, I'm receiving this too when I'm doing it, the energy's coming through me to them. So
well, it's the same with Reiki. When you're doing Reiki on someone, you're actually getting benefits from the healing as well. Yes.
It's amazing. I feel like I'm vibrating. I feel like euphoric and just, so it's you're receiving. You can do this session also just because you want to receive powerfully positive energy.
Yes.
To me, it's kind of like a preventative, or like I'm going to the dentist to get my teeth cleaned. It's like, I don't have any, my teeth are great, but I want to eat healthy. I want to do things that are, continuing to have my health be well.
Yes.
So you don't have to do it.
I think it's really good now that more and more people are becoming aware too of the subtle energies that need cleaning and cleansing and maintenance, because for so long everyone's just been stuck in the 3D physical world. And I mean, yes, it's great to have a healthy diet and to go and do your exercise and this and that, but if you're not taking care of your spiritual, psychic, subtle bodies, as well, because that's where everything starts anyway. It starts from within and then comes out until it's finally in the physical. So if we're not doing all that inner work and that inner cleansing and healing, and what about protection? Do you take steps to do any protection before you do your sessions? Because I know I do with, I was telling you before we started the recording, I've just recently done a soul-centered healing hypnosis course. So I'm doing sessions with other students at the moment. We're doing our swap sessions before we can actually go out there and do it for other
Yeah.
people. So I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But we have to do a lot of protection, because when you're working
Mhm.
with other people's energies, and when you're working with entity releases, whether it be earthbound spirits or thought forms or blocked energy or
Yes.
anything
Right.
else, we
Hmm.
definitely don't want to be taking on anything ourselves. Because I also do massage, and I also know when you're massaging people, sometimes you can feel drained, or you can pick up something from your client if you're not careful and
Yeah.
you don't do your cleansing and your protection and all that sort of stuff. So what sort
Yeah.
of things do you do to help in that area?
So, in my progression in protecting myself, like learning the different techniques, um, there's different things that I would do, like imagining white light surrounding me, things like that. And then, different colored light, depending on what I might be around, that sort of thing, like encompassing my whole body, that kind of thing. Saging, saying some words,
Yeah.
powerfully positive words, these sorts of things too, right? But
Yes.
what really has helped me in so many ways is the teachings of Abraham Hicks, that the more, the way, the things that the priest does, and they're bringing in, they're bringing in powerfully positive energy.
Yeah.
So when you do things that have powerfully positive energy, then physics, only powerful positive energy can be around you, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So the more that I can keep myself, with, there's different ways you can, do it. You can have the outer things like essential oils and crystals and powerfully positive music that you're playing and words that you speak and all those things. You can take a shower. I take showers. I take a shower
Yes.
before I do my energy work.
Yes.
I really I make sure that I just have positive. I might listen to Abraham Hicks. They're so uplifting, or
Yeah.
some listening to some nice music. Keep myself very focused. I don't start like looking at emails and whatever. I keep, I slow my thoughts down so that I'm very centered on that person and the work and all that.
Yeah.
So these sorts of things that I do, but it's, overall, if learning about this, have yourself being in as high vibration as you can, then metaphysically only high vibration things, people, situations can be with you. And if they, and then it's like, okay, so how, okay, I want to go back to that. How was it that that jerk was able to be in my presence?
Yeah.
Well, it was obviously so glitchy that it didn't feel good to me at all. So when you're in a high state, when lower vibration doesn't feel good to you,
Mm-hmm.
that tells you, like, I'm in a high vibration, low vibration feels bad.
Yeah.
So that says, okay, I know that doesn't resonate with me. Pretty quickly, that person's going to be moving out of your physical space because it can't work.
Yeah.
They're going to veer away from you very fast. So
Yes.
there's just these different ways that you can understand that. And so when I've gone to a house or a place that I want to go to, let's just say that on the side that there maybe was things that happened in that house, but I'm not focusing on that. I'm focusing on the architecture, or, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm actually able to come to this house and see it for myself.
Yeah.
And so again, I'm in a state of excitement and happiness, and I can't believe I'm here, and in wonder, and like, oh wow. So my vibration is more up in the range of appreciation, of gaining knowledge, of having fun. So whatever spirits might happen to be there, the only ones that are going to be able to connect with me are happy spirits, or
Yeah.
that they're going to have to connect with me on a high level of awareness.
Yeah.
So that's protection. All that
Yes.
stuff is protection.
Yes.
Does that
And I
make
think,
sense?
yes, and I think intent is also very key to this. And
Yeah.
as you said before, when you are setting up your session and you know, having that intent that,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
yeah,
True. Yeah. I'm like
yeah,
thinking how I want it to be, how I want it to go, but I'm not perfect. Just yesterday, um, I, I am still practicing paying attention to my intuition. Okay.
yes,
Even after amazing times where I did, and wow, it went so well. And oh my gosh, I'm so glad. But there's still subtle things that, and so yesterday I was meeting with a woman that was a medium. And I realized afterwards that there were little hints to me. Like,
yeah,
that I realized I was like wanting to like make sure that it was going to go well. And, like usually, you don't have to do that.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like my intuition was saying something to me about it.
yes, yeah,
And then it, my vibration and her vibration, I want to get along. How we're talking, oh my God, you're my people. Like
yeah,
we're having fun. It's a good conversation. We're enjoying the interaction.
yeah,
And this person was a little different, and not it wasn't that way. And
yes,
so then, she got mad, and, she was not a happy person. And like, and then I started feeling, like uncomfortable, and she was, so it was a weird experience.
yeah,
And so I had to like remind myself these things, like, okay, well, it's not that there's something wrong with me. It was, you know what I mean? Like really, you have to kind of remind yourself sometimes, like,
yes, yeah,
okay, all right, well, it's a little bit disappointing because I like making friends, and I was, wanting it to go well. So there is some different things that just happen, out there, as we live our lives, that,
yes,
you're going to
yeah,
come upon things, and how do you best handle it? And at the
yeah,
end of our meeting up, we met for lunch, and I felt great. I was so proud of myself.
yes,
I mean, I have been doing my own work. I didn't get all worked up with her. I was able to keep myself more like stepped back, and remember, that a happy or how should I say, a person who is going through some things might not be very nice,
yeah,
right? Like we all handle things different.
yeah,
Maybe if you're unhappy, you might just be more, put it back on yourself. But there's people out there that they'll punch you.
yeah,
They'll jab at you because they're not happy.
yes,
So I was able to realize, that she's obviously, and so I said to her, I'm sorry you're having a hard time.
yeah,
And she looked at me like in the eyes. That was like her first time finally like looking at me in the eyes. Like she saw that I knew
yeah,
that
yes,
I, but I wasn't going to get caught. I don't want to fight with people. I like getting along,
yeah,
kumbaya, like
yes,
love,
yeah,
kindness,
yeah,
joy, happiness, that's where I'm at.
yeah,
So, I'm kind of the rainbows and the unicorns person,
yeah,
we all have our different um abilities and talents and things that, that we feel comfortable of, what we want to do and where we want to look. And, and I really like the positive experiences, the mystical experiences. I like connecting with the non-physical, the non-corporeal, in amazing, fun, wonderful ways where a gift is left for you, or you get to meet a historical figure when you're out traveling and you're visiting their house,
yeah,
and you're looking at the crown molding, and you're like, wow. And then all of a sudden there they are
yeah,
saying, wow, thank you for noticing that instead of the not good things. And I'm like, you're
yes,
welcome. And oh wow, I got to meet you. How cool is that? So there's a lot of different angles at,
Yeah.
you know, knowing why, you know, for me, it's important as best as I can to like keep my vibration up. That's my
Yes.
protection. That's
Yeah.
really my protection.
Yes,
I just,
definitely.
before I do a session though, I want myself cleansed, you know,
Yeah.
take a shower, clean off anything
Yeah.
and
Because
be
like you said
fresh.
before, it's sacred work. So
Yeah, it
even if we
is.
don't need to do a little routine, it's part of the ceremony and it's part of the sacredness of it. Like I
Yeah.
always, when I'm doing my work, I've got my tuning forks, so I clear the
Okay,
air
there
with
you
tuning forks, and I've always got
Yeah.
crystals. I use crystals a lot, essential oils, that sort of thing,
Mhm.
saging. Yeah,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
they're tools, and we may not necessarily need them at the highest levels, but it's nice to have them there anyway.
Yeah.
And I've gridded my house as well with tourmaline and clear quartz and
Okay.
things like that. And I like to do all that sort
Yes.
of stuff. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But at the end of the day, it is, for me, it's about the intent behind it. And as you say,
Yes.
keeping that,
That is
you know,
it.
the thought about this is for the highest good of all, and I'm divinely
Yeah.
protected. I always say that wherever I'm going, when I'm in my car, I'm divinely protected, and just
I like
having
that.
those little, yeah, little things that you can pull in. And yeah. So you
Yes.
said
One of
before,
them.
oh, sorry,
Yep. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh,
Well, I was just going to say quickly,
yep.
one of the things I say is I have on my wall here a list of Saint Germain affirmations, and one is I think it's like I am sealed in a tube of white light. So
Yes.
I'll do that sometimes, and I'll like imagine it, and then I say that for my animals too. My
Yes.
dog's sealed in a tube of white light. My parrot is sealed in a tube of white light. But yeah,
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
so, and I
So
also wanted to mention with my really quick with the color and sound therapy, one of the reasons why I really like doing it where I can do it remotely is when one of the things I tone my voice says the sound or verbalizes the sound, like the heart chakra is ah.
yep.
So I feel like a person can be more relaxed and not have to hear me going, ah,
Yep.
like,
Yes.
and then I can freely just belt it out, to the
Yep.
tone. And I just get really into it. And it's this, the sacred sounds, of all over the world, from
Yes.
around the world, there's, there's Chung and Ra and Yahweh and Om, and, from all the different um, spiritual practices, from around
Yes.
the world.
Yeah. And I've heard too, when people have done toning, I haven't actually done toning myself. I've done, I've done OMS actually. I have done OMS in meditation circles and groups. So I guess that is
Yeah.
toning.
Yeah.
Um, I've done a lot of drumming. Like I love
Mm.
drumming. Yeah.
I
But
just bought myself a drum.
oh, okay, yeah. I've got, I don't even know what sort of drum it is, what it's called. It's quite tall. It's not a djembe, but it's yeah, one of those. And I've got
Okay.
bongos, but I do want to get
Oh,
like a Native American hand, one that you
yes.
hold. Yeah.
Yes.
So but I'm looking
That's
at
what I got.
vegan options because I'm actually vegan, so I don't really want to get leather. So
Okay.
even
Yes.
though my other ones are, but I figure, well, I've had them in my life for a long time, but I don't want to go out now and buy something. So
Yeah.
you can get
Right.
vegan options. Yeah, but that's a
Yeah, I
whole other
saw
thing.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I've heard people say, I think it was Danny Henderson might have had, no, it wasn't her, it was Carrie Cohen, I think, that I follow on YouTube, and she was doing some toning sessions with people, and they were saying that as they were doing it, I think if there's 3 or more people, after a while of doing it, you actually hear other voices come in. It's as if the angels join you.
Oh, I believe it.
Yes, yeah,
I have heard things while when I'm doing I hear music playing sometimes. I think I'm hearing people talking sometimes. I've seen like, not orbs, but like it'll look like almost a white sort of worm, just all like, phew, like I don't know. I have a lot of different experiences. People tell me they hear music, they hear people talk, they feel, sometimes I feel like the whole room is filled with
Yeah.
beings participating. I have felt hands placed in different parts of my body when I have had Reiki massage.
Yes.
And when we were learning this, you know, color and sound therapy, they said, you know, you may feel other hands besides the person in a different part of your body, like maybe on the bottoms of your feet, or, and I was like, wow, that would be amazing to be able to feel the actual physical touch from the non-physical.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I've experienced it many times, like gentle touching, or you know, that sort of thing. So that's part of it too. I tell people, and people have told me I felt hands on my
Yes.
hip.
Yeah.
And so I've tried different things. I've even done two people at once. One person was in Georgia and another person was in Massachusetts, and they both had their experience.
Yeah.
And one guy was a shaman and she was Reiki massage.
Yes. Wow.
So
That's
he's like, yeah, I
amazing.
felt, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, and then they tell me, I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were saying before about you like interacting with the interdimensionals and the unseen world, and you were recently
Yes.
on the Pork and Bean show. Did you want to touch on the forest people? Because I'm so interested in that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I would love to. That really kind of, it sort of came out of nowhere, but it was more like the learning about them.
Yeah. So when did they first come across your radar?
So in 2018 is when I was taught about them. I call them the tree people because that's how it was taught to me. And I went to Mena, Arkansas to go to a crystal mine that on the land that this couple owns, they also have had UFO stuff. MUFON's been out there to, you know, to do the whatever reporting of the physical evidence that was shown on the land from it. There's levitating rocks there. There's been really big green orbs that have been seen. The Sasquatch people are there. The Native American people of that area have asked if they can do their ceremonial work on that land because they consider it sacred land.
Yeah.
And that's the sacred land and the crystal mine, and the fact that there were many different interesting paranormal experiences going on the land. That's why I wanted to go. I like going to places that have high vibration. I want to feel the good energy.
Yeah.
You know, I want to have a possible mystical experience. I want to go there. I want to learn from the space. Maybe a native person will talk to me. You know, I'm open, you know,
Yeah.
so all that. So yeah, I went there, and the husband took me to a section of the forest that he told me that the native tribe, the tribe of that area, have been teaching them about the Sasquatch people. They said that they call the Sasquatch people the tree people, and that he was taking me to an area called the nursery, and the older tree people teach the young tree people how to manipulate the trees, how to make them grow in a certain angle, or they use them as markers. They travel far from one place to another. And I had no idea of this. I was, wow, what?
Yeah.
I had no idea. And so when he
And the
was
trees also
showing,
talk to one another as well.
yes,
They're all connected. All their root systems are connected around the
right,
world. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
okay, so I was able to actually bring that in to the way that I wanted to have my relationship with the tree people. I wanted to have my own experiences through using my own techniques. And that was one of the things I did. I don't know if I talked about that on the show, but in this area of the forest where I was living in Georgia, I went out and I spoke to the space. I spoke to the trees. like in the intention that it's going to go down into the roots, and then I was going to be able to be speaking to the entire planet of tree people.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I want to know you. Thank you for being, with me in my life. I want to be friends. I want to learn from you. I want to help. And soon after that, I started hearing vocals. But so when he was saying about them calling the tree people, and this was such a gentle, kind man, it was presented to me in such a gentle way. And I feel like that was there was a reason for me getting introduced to them in that way. And then the nursery with the little saplings, there'd be like a little sapling, like pulled down, was still attached in the ground. So it was like, it would be like making an arch.
Yeah.
And then like a log or like a long branch would be like holding the top of the tree down on the ground. He showed me that. He showed me a couple like branches that had been, growing this way and then bent up this way. And then, like growing, like somebody had purposefully manipulated the trees or the branches when they were younger to grow in certain angles. And, so over the time I've seen other things like they'll bend a tree down, but it'll still be connected and it'll grow pointing, out that way. And then if you look, oh, okay, if you look in this whole forest, a lot of them are pointing one way. So are they aiming it towards the water? Or are they telling their other clan members or other clans, this is the way to that?
Yeah.
Or here is where a portal is, or I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but
Yeah.
I feel like, a lot of times we as humans, we want to put human psychology onto things, people, or not people, animals,
Yeah.
possibly them. And so they use they use sticks and branches and they'll put it on the ground like a glyph.
Yes.
And that means things too. Or you'll see like an X, a tree leaning this way and a branch leaning it. Like they make certain symbols. It doesn't necessarily mean like stay out. Like, X could mean whatever it means to us. It doesn't necessarily mean that to them.
Yeah.
That's
Do you
something
think the
that
glyphs are personal to each person? Do you think like an
I
X
think
to
it's
you would
possible.
be
I
different
think
to?
it's possible. I'm still learning about that, I mean, I'm still, um, as I'm learning about the different ways that they interact and what each symbol might mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear people talking about, they'll show a picture, they'll put some pictures on Facebook of the glyphs and what
Yeah.
it means. And I don't know if it's because that they've learned from someone else, like maybe that the ancient Native American people, the way that the glyphs meant whatever that means, and so that maybe they're thinking it means that, or are they intuitively knowing that that particular glyph means, so
Yeah.
for me, my experience is once I was at Board Camp Crystal Mine and he taught me about these things, I started having memories from my life. I grew up in the Santa Cruz Mountains where there's lots of old redwoods and just a specific type of forest that is very, I don't know, very special. And we camped, went out and camped and hiked a lot. And I started having these memories of walking past an area where there was a ton of like long branches all placed leaning on a tree next to each other, like, I don't know, 15 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, things like this. And throughout my years growing up, and I would think maybe teenagers did that, or the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, or maybe some weird pagan thing, whatever. Or I'd see like a tree growing really weird, and I would be like, and walk past. So that started flashing through my mind. And then also, nature, being outside, I felt so comfortable outside. I never felt alone. Like I felt
Mm-hmm.
so peaceful, these sorts of things. So I was like, oh my God, I feel like they've been with me my whole life.
Yep.
And so when I was out talking to the trees that day, I cried in thankfulness and like appreciation of them, being with me. And so there was that going on. And then I had two memories pop up into my head. One was from 1996 and another from 2005. And the first one that I remembered was, 2000. Well, first I had a sighting. One showed himself to me.
Wow, that's amazing.
So amazing.
Yep.
There's been a lot of people who've had sightings,
Yep.
and a lot of us have had our own unique sighting. So, and
I've
some
heard
people
stories where people have been out together in the forest,
yeah,
and one person has seen, like a typical Sasquatch figure.
yeah,
Someone else either hasn't seen anything at all, but it's been right there, or they've seen a deer or a bird or something.
wow,
Yeah.
that is
So it's
cool.
like they can
Yes,
show two different people. They can
that's amazing.
morph themselves into two different things at the same time. Yeah, it's just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Okay,
tell me
yeah,
about your sighting. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been having some like really neat experiences. So the sighting story was, I was mountain biking in on a single track trail, which is like, a skinnier dirt trail in the forest, down in the trees in Northern California, and in a town called Auburn, because, there's been um, a lot of talk about what's called the Sierra Sounds, that part of the Northern California where people have had heard some specific vocalings
Mm-hmm.
that were important to this topic. So I'm out there, I'm mountain biking with a boyfriend, or a guy that I was seeing, and I was first. He was like a couple minutes behind me on the trail, and I come around a left curve, and this, for a long time, it was like I saw a bear, story. This furry, this fur rug went flying across from right to left in front of me. Not like close enough that I had to swerve or anything, but it was like, I don't know, like 20 feet or something in front of me.
Yeah.
And so as I started listening, after I was at Board Camp Crystal Mine, I asked people, what are experiences that people have? So I started listening to a podcast called Dixie Cryptid, and he will read people's experiences. And so I was like binge listening to people's experiences. And so that's when it triggered, these memories.
Yeah.
So when you hear different people's experiences, and, we're so used to what we're used to in the five physical senses of world, right? What animals look like, what things do, and that's it. And so I feel like when you're having an experience that's beyond that, it takes you a while to process what you
Yes.
really saw.
Yeah.
So that's how it was for me, because I was like, wait a second. There were no arms or legs or head. I only saw the midsection.
Yeah.
It was like went across the trail in the air.
Yeah.
And the fur hair was very, very thick. And it was so thick. And then there was this wave in it, like a S. And it was like reddish brown. There was no sound. And then once it crossed the trail, that was it. There was no like sound of stomping through the forest, you know,
Yep.
it was, and so okay, and then there was a lingering scent. It was like a scent, like a musky, like a sweet, musky, horsey like scent that
Yep.
lingered in the air, just like right there.
Yep.
I think like a pheromone like scent. So it was an approach for me. It was to me, you know, it was wanting to show himself to me in that way, a
Yes.
partially materialized Bigfoot.
Yeah. Did the
And when I
did the guy
realized
you were
that,
with,
no,
did he see the
no, he
figure?
was like, because it was sort of a windy, mountainy trail, he was like some turns, you know, a couple minutes behind me.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I even mentioned it to him at all. I can't remember,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't
Isn't it
remember if I
funny
said,
when you see things like that too? I've had experiences with what I used to term ETs, but I tend to now think they might have been like interdimensional beings. But
yeah,
and it's funny, it's not just because I didn't want people to think I was crazy or they wouldn't believe me, but I think, as you say, it takes a while to process things. And I think sometimes you just like, oh, well, you know, like I've seen even in my own house, I've seen the walls like vibrate and almost open up. Like
wow,
it's almost like a portal or something. It's
yeah,
like, you know, when you get that shimmering
yes,
sensation.
that's what I was just gonna say, a shimmering. I've seen that.
Yeah. And I've seen like holes in my walls open up in my peripheral
Wow,
vision. And even as I
yeah,
look at it straight
mm-hmm.
on, it's still there for a
Yeah,
split second and then it
wow,
just goes back to normal. Almost
yes,
like, yeah, it's
I've seen that
you're
too.
looking into another dimension. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh
But
yeah,
then I don't run out and say to my husband, "Oh, I just saw this." It's just like, "Oh, well, you know, that," and I just
I
get on with
know,
my
it's
day
so
and mm,
interesting. I've had that so many times, and I've joked about that, like, who are you gonna call? What are you gonna do? Like,
yeah.
should I alert the news? I mean, like, guess what I just saw, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
But no,
Yeah.
that's why it's so fun to be able to talk to people like this, because then you can
Yeah.
share your stories that are like, wow, this is beyond, this is way beyond the norm. This is like, we're going down into the rabbit hole here.
Yes. Yeah. So
Yeah.
after that, have you seen any other, have they shown themselves to you, or has it been more just vocalizations and glips and things like that, more
Yeah,
subtle?
it's been so the seeing that sighting, and then earlier in my life, I saw footsteps in sand when I was out in the mountains of Idaho by myself. And then I think that he saw, you know, their senses are so heightened, you know,
Yes.
they're still so in tune with these abilities. And I feel that their eyesight probably also is so amazing.
Yes. And
And
also their intuition, like can
yeah,
intuit things, I think,
right?
way
Yes.
before we
Maybe be able,
even,
we can, yes. And then also being able to maybe know what we're thinking. And so I feel like he saw me looking at the footsteps. Is that a bear? And then there was a big tree crack sound, like up on the hill, up on the ridge. And then, you know, again, me processing it, I feel like he was saying, that was me. I'm
yes.
right here. That
Yeah.
was me. I did that. And then this feeling of just feeling relaxed came back over me, and I, you know, went back to enjoy myself. So, and then, so in 2018, when, you know, I was made aware of what they do and what they're about, or, you know, a little bits of
Yeah.
that's the nursery. Um, and then I really wanted to be able to use my spiritual side of myself, my inner senses, to be able to, and my studies of shamanism, of connecting to nature, of understanding that everything has a consciousness and everything is alive.
Yeah.
And, you know, like my connecting to plants and to fish and, you know, like all these different interesting experiences. So I was like, I'm going to use these abilities and like have experiences. And if I learn things, I can be able to teach people through my way. And
Yes.
soon after I said to them, I want to know you, I want to be friends, I want to learn from you, I started hearing their vocals. I started hearing the owls.
Yeah.
And the vocaling that I heard is different than anything else that I've heard on audio or that people have talked about. And what I've heard, and I've heard it now in 2 different parts of Georgia and in a completely another state, way across the United States, the same exact vocaling. And it's the same sound that you do when you're toning in the heart chakra. And a lot of people, when they, the people who understand who they are beyond the, the flesh and blood, that they're also these special beings, that a lot of them talk about that they're very heart-centered. They know your heart. They're very connected to the heart. And so I had this epiphany, like this realization, and that's why I showed that chart. My dog's like barking a little bit.
Yeah, that's all right. She's agreeing with you.
Oh, we'll go with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to show on my chart there that I go, look at this, the correlation. Here's the heart chakra. And then let's go down the line. Here's the tone that you do for the heart is ah, A-H.
Yeah.
And literally that's what it sounds like. Ah, like I call it the man yell.
Yeah.
Because it's a man type voice, but it's a length of vocal and a tone. And I'm like, oh my God, there has to be some correlation to this.
Yeah.
Whether it's for me, like maybe they're teaching me, or I'm getting, I don't know. I'm still putting it together. But when the first time I heard the vocal, I was talking to a neighbor in the country. He had said he was hearing some knocks on the door. And so I was like, okay, is this a spirit or is this a Sasquatch? I was like asking him questions, and we were outside. It was starting to beginnings of dusk, and we're talking outside, like standing like 10, 15 feet in front of each other. And out of nowhere, like, let's say a 5-minute walk away in the forest, there's this man yell sound. And he went, like, he looked at me like, what was that?
Yeah.
And I thought, I stayed super like pretending I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
But I thought, wow, for a guy who lives out there and knows all the sounds, and for him to react that way, I was like, wow, that was something.
Yes. Yeah.
And like a week before that, I heard what sounded like an owl call and then a response owl call in the day. But it had also like kind of off a little bit. Like it sounded like an owl, but it didn't.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of it started progressing from there. I started hearing like a bunch of the owls in it, like right out from my campsite, like a month later. And then in the middle of them doing like their ooh, ooh, ooh sounds. In the middle of it, I heard like more of like a primal man ooh sound. And I was like, whoa, what's that? That's amazing. And so I heard that in 2 different states, this where all of a sudden there's a bunch of them in a tree, like up in the air.
Yeah.
So I'm getting to experience them as a non-physical.
Yes.
I've seen them. He's shown me being physical, but then also my first experience was this sort of interdimensional, partially materialized being. And then the vocals. And then lately, they're starting to do the rock throwing.
Oh, wow.
And that's just
amazing.
Started. Yeah, that started about 5 months ago now, 4 months ago.
Yeah, it's almost like they start.
I'm gonna let my dog out. Hold on.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, go on. You can go out there. I told you, right? My dog's 17.
Yes, yes.
All right, go that way. There you go. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like they just start out and give you small things until you get used to that, and then they'll
Maybe.
introduce another way of communicating with you, and then when you get used to that, they'll try something else. Maybe it's just to give, yeah. And because I said before, I've been wanting to have connection with them, and I don't know that I've actually consciously connected or had or seen them, you know, with my physical eyes. But I have had things like I've had knocking, and I didn't know for a long time what it was, because like I said before we started recording, I'm in semi-rural areas, so we've got a lot of bushland around our property. And I kept hearing, but it was mainly early in the morning, and I was thinking it was a neighbor chopping wood or something like that. Or
so try to mimic what it sounded like to you. Like,
it's
what did you hear? Like
it's
hollow,
hard. It's
hard noise, echoing. Like, how do you?
It sort of echoes a little bit. It sounds like someone's chopping a log.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's not constant. There'll be one, and then there'll be a gap for a couple of seconds, then there'll be another one, then there might be a gap for 10 seconds, then there'll be a couple in a row. It's inconsistent, so it's not like it is someone. And I've looked out the window over the fence to see if it was the neighbor, and there's no one there.
Yeah, that would be a weird way of a person like actually like chopping wood.
Yes. And for a long time I didn't realize what it was, and it wasn't until I really started getting more and more interested in looking at the forest people that I'm like, and then I heard of, you know, other people, like I follow the Pork and Beans show, and Dr. Matthew Johnson talks about the Janu people and things like that. And also here in Australia, I think there's a channel I follow called Yowie Central, because they're called Yowies over here. Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So, and then I started putting two and two together, and I'm like, that's similar to what they're talking about with the knocking sounds. And I have seen some of the trees around here. Like, we used to have a neighbor up the back here, but they've since moved, and the property's been sold, and the house has been removed, because they're actually, it's sad, but they're going to start developing some of this area around here, and my heart goes out to,
man.
Yeah, it's just it's heartbreaking, but I won't go there right now. But yeah, she used to see lots of different things in the tree, and she always used to talk to me about the X's and things in trees, and how some of them would make a Y, and it didn't look natural.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I've noticed a few things like that. But
that's exciting.
Yeah, but I didn't twig at the time what it was, and it's not until now I'm starting to look at it more in a conscious way that
that's cool.
These memories are coming back, and I'm starting to join the dots. Yeah.
So also, you know, in me saying I want to, you know, learn from you, I want to, you know, all that. So I as best as I can, I try to explain this to people that me and my animals, we teleported, like literally went from one part of the forest to another in a split second.
Wow.
And it was at the night. So maybe it's better that way, but it was still like, what is going on here? I don't recognize this space at all. Where am I? And why is it that my animals got to go with me? How'd that happen?
Yeah.
You know, there was this, you know, and so, you know, in my putting this all together, the research that you do, you wanting to kind of understand how it all works, how could it possibly happen? You know, I was watching a show today where these people were saying that they were having some paranormal experiences in their house, where they woke up and the mom and one of the sons was laying on the couch, and they went to bed in their beds, and they woke up on the couch, and then the other son was in the mom's bed. So did the Sasquatch people want me to understand, like, this is how sometimes how we travel, we just teleport, we can go from one place to the other, and this is how we do it? Or did we go through a portal? You know, was there a space on that land that was a specific size that you know, because my dog was off leash. She was just following along with us.
Yeah.
It wasn't like,
And
you
how did
know,
the animals respond? Did they look
they
like they
didn't
were?
react at all.
Oh, okay.
They have been with me through a lot of my experiences. They have been there with the experiences. They've been
Yes.
invited into ceremony.
Yeah.
I've had some non-physical, like, I don't know if she was a chief or the wife of the chief, but you know, a medium was sort of passing along this information. She said, she wants you to put your dog in this water. We were in this creek that's called the Healing Passage, where the ancient Cherokee would bring their people to help to heal them
Yeah.
in all ways, to have them go in the water and have, you know, the properties of the water. So
Yes.
she's like, put your dog in the water, run the water down her back, and then put your hands in the water. And then basically she was like, now pay it forward with what you got from this. The next day, the fur on my dog's muzzle had gone back to black, to her natural color. I couldn't believe it. Like that was one of my most profound experiences, seeing that, you know, something change before your eyes that fast, you know.
Wow.
So they've been included. They've been able to participate in all this stuff with me. So, I mean, I don't notice my dog reacting. I mean, now her ears aren't quite as sharp and her eyes aren't quite as sharp, but she just feels very peaceful all the time. She's very happy that we're out and about. My bird, you know, she has really good eyesight. She'll notice like a turkey vulture flying in the sky and she'll react to that. And sometimes she'll do this sort of head movement and like as if she's excited for whatever she's noticing. Today, when I went out today for a hike, and I was thinking I was possibly hearing some knocking or something coming from the other side of the river, way up on the hill. And she reacted to it.
Yeah.
So, but not like scared or anything, but just kind of like she went, like, you know, like she turned her ear, like, you know, type thing.
Yeah, I'm just so you know, you're frozen on the screen. I can still hear your audio, but you're frozen on the
Oh
screen.
man.
So I don't know if you want to maybe turn
Yes.
your video off and then turn it back on and see if that makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, like it doesn't show that for me. So that
Yeah.
okay, so if I stop video.
Yeah, just
that
stop
one?
video, but you'll still be on
Okay.
audio. Yeah. And then maybe
Right.
just try pressing the video again, like turning it back on. Yep, you're back there. Yeah, you're moving now. Oh, but we still got the audio, so that was good. And you
Oh
had
my
your
God.
eyes closed. You weren't in a
Okay,
awful
good.
pose. No, that's all right. But you're on a roll with what you're saying too, and I didn't want to interrupt. But
Thanks.
yeah, but no, it's amazing how animals, they sense things. And because my cat Tiki, my older cat, I've been told that she's my protector, and she will see things. She'll look to another room, or she'll, and I know that there's an energy there or something there. And
That's so neat.
yeah,
I love that.
I know. Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh my God, we could have like a whole nother hours of conversation about animals.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I've
Amazing.
followed, I don't know if you've heard of Ginny Lebronsky, I think her name is, or Jabronsky, or I can't remember now, but she's I stumbled across her a year or so ago, I think, because I just watched heaps of different people's podcasts and things.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who she was on, but she's
an
like
animal communicator.
Yes, she's a horse, predominantly horses, but she does do other animals. She's like a horse whisperer, and she telepathically, touches in with animals and communicates with them. And and it's just amazing to be able to do that. And I guess we could probably all do it to a greater or lesser degree. And if we honed our skills, we'd end up being able, But since she told,
we all have these abilities.
Yeah, exactly. Well, she was the one that told me that my cat was a protector, because My cat had started urinating around the house in different spots, and it was really unlike her because she's always had the litter tray and it's always kept,
Yeah.
you know, clean
Like she
and
was marking all of a sudden.
yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what's going on with her? And it's not like there was anything going on in the house or there was no other people here that she's not used to or anything like that. And so when I reached out to Ginny, she tapped into my cat's energy and she said, "Oh, she's protecting you. There is something there." And then not long after that,
Oh,
my daughter and I both had bouts of sleep paralysis and other
oh my God, really?
other energies in the house. Yeah, and
Oh,
we did
wow.
a massive clearing and cleansing. And
Good.
since then we've had no more cat peeing and yeah. And I started
Wow.
thanking her too for being my protector.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and she
Oh.
seems to be a lot more responsive now because she's always been a fairly aloof cat. She'll come to you when she's ready, but if you try and approach her, she just turns away and doesn't want to know you. But
Yeah.
now she's gotten a lot closer to me
Oh,
since I've been
wow.
acknowledging and thanking her for being my protector.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so
yeah,
neat.
yeah, it is. It's so
That
amazing.
is when you were talking about that, about cleansing the space, that's something that I've been able to teach people to do too, you know. I mean, over the years on Facebook, somebody will message me and, you know, tell me what's going on at their house. And so I'll be able to say these things, do these things, and
Yeah,
help them to, again, raise the vibration of the house, of the energy of the space, so that whatever lower vibration has to leave,
yes, yes.
you know?
Because
I
what I've
mean,
been working with a lot lately too is consent and doing like a
okay.
declaration of sovereignty. I've actually done on my channel, there's a video there where I do a declaration of sovereignty. But I'm also doing, I choose to only be in the highest, vibration, or I choose for all my bodies, my physical, emotional, mental body, to come into alignment and be of the highest vibration of the one true creator and things like that, and saying things like that. And it's also about
Yes.
consent. Like if I do feel that there is something around that's a little bit sticky or icky, or just
Yeah.
that feeling,
Yeah.
I'm now saying, I do not consent to you being here. You do not
Ooh,
have
I
my
like that.
permission to be here. You must leave now. I'll even call
Yeah.
in the angels, because I've been learning that
Yeah.
with the work that I'm doing with the healing
Right.
hypnosis, and calling in the angels as well to help with disconnecting from things like that.
Good.
Yeah, so
It's
yeah,
fun to learn that stuff. That was also something that I took some time to learn that too, so that, you know, if I'm wherever I am at, or if I can help someone with, you know, a spirit, that's usually, you know, the way I look at it is I want to help the spirit, you know, I want to help the spirit to move on. And so
yes,
like learning some of these techniques, and, you know, I've been able to, you know, just randomly like realize, oh, I think there's someone here. I'm going to
yes,
say some things that I feel compelled to say. Like, you know, you don't need to be here anymore. You
yes,
know, I don't care. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks or whatever they're going through, whatever. This is your life. And, you know, there's more to go. You have more on your journey to go.
yes. That's what
And
I
then
like
you know,
about the work too that I'm doing with the healing, the hypnosis.
yeah,
And the entity release and things like that. And it's because a lot of these souls are just so stuck, and they don't even know that they've got an option, and they could have been there for a person's whole life, or they could be
yeah,
there through trauma, and it's just so good to be able to help them as well
yes.
to move on. And yeah, so it's
So
not only helping the person that you're working with, but it's helping all the spirits as well.
yes. Oh my gosh, help them to be able to continue on with their journey.
Yes, yeah,
And then like
exactly.
yeah, there's so many things, so many different reasons why they're there, you know, that
Yes.
maybe it's the religious background too. That's one of the things too that, you know, it's a, you know, it's a tender subject, right?
Yeah,
Religion,
it
of
is.
the certain belief systems of, you have to say these things and you have to believe these things, and if you don't, then you're not going to be allowed to go into heaven, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And then so then they die, or they're afraid to die, and then they die, and then they're afraid to go into the light because
Yes.
maybe they sinned, or they because what they were taught when they were a kid, whatever, that these things are sins and that's not okay, and then you're going to go to hell, and then you're so yeah, it's like, how may you be able to say to them, whoever it is, whatever their belief system is, to get them,
Yes.
whatever sometimes it's like you want to kind of just say whatever it takes to get them to go, because then once they get over on the other side, then they're back into source energy, and they're like carrying on.
Yes, exactly. And that's where the angels are really good to help too. Like if you do get the stubborn ones that, they're either stubborn or they just are too scared to go, you can call the angels to help.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Recently, I was driving from, on a road trip back home, and I sometimes, if I have to pull over for like, okay, I need to get gas, I'm like, okay, well, what's going on in this town? Maybe there's a museum I can go see, or a historical something. Well, I felt compelled to go check out a historic jail, like basically a building that was just sitting, in on land, just sitting there.
Yeah.
What compelled me to go drive out of my way to go check out this jail? And so when I got there, I called in the angels of, of transition, come be here, and I just said to the space, you can go now. You're free.
Because there would be a lot of trapped jails and places like that, and places where there's been battlefields. Yeah. Ruins, castles, things like that. There would be so many trapped souls.
Yeah, and you don't. Sometimes I'm not necessarily picking up on a specific, but I feel like that is a space that might have someone there. Yeah. And if there's any way that I might be able to help out, I want to do my part.
Yes. Yeah.
I have compassion. You're walking down the street, there's someone that fell in a hole, and they're like, help me. And you're like, oh, hi.
Yeah.
Do you want me to pass on a message to your loved one?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. Help them up. Do you want to come out of that hole?
Yeah.
Give them an option. I'll reach my arm down and help pull you up. I just want to go, hey, guess what? I heard somebody in a hole. I'm going to prove to people that there is someone in a hole. Like, that's the side of the paranormal world that bothers me. But I do see it progressing more and more.
Oh,
the medium coming in, the intuitive person's coming in, they're cleansing the space, they're helping the spirit move on.
Yep.
That just makes me so happy to know that there is a progression in this.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. It's as I said earlier, it's definitely a time now where we're doing a mass healing, not just the awakening, but mass healing on a grand scale throughout the world. And it's just, you realize we've been going nearly 2 hours, or probably over 2 hours now. So we might have to do a part 2. Yeah.
I can talk about this stuff. This is a passion of mine.
Yeah.
But yes, this has been so fun.
Yeah. So well, before we wind up the podcast, do you want to tell people where they can find you? So if anyone out there does want to get in touch with you for some healing or some advice or anything, where can they find you?
So the two things that I would say is the easiest, that's the most for the anyone in the world, is you can either find me on Facebook, Tricia, Tricia Brown, Brown, Free Spirit. And my profile picture is of a silhouette of a Sasquatch. So that's me.
Yeah.
Or you can email me, excellenttricia@gmail.com, all one word.
Yep.
Those are the two, easiest, but like, I am open for conversations, Facebook conversations. I've had people reach out to me that are in the hospital and like open for help. I had a girl, she was literally about to get wheeled in to heart surgery, and she reached out for some help. And then she told
that's
me
fantastic.
that the words that blurted out of my mouth helped.
Yeah.
And
that's
I'm
great.
so thankful. I'm happy to help.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And also there's your YouTube channel, which is
Oh yeah.
exploring the paranormal with Trisha Brown. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
good.
So if
Yeah,
people
that's
want,
where
yeah, so go over there
yeah,
and like and subscribe.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Yes. If you
Yeah.
want to hear some really interesting experiences, I've been posting more and more about my life of experiences, and continuing on my more current experiences with the tree people, where they're more and more currently letting me know that they're there.
Yeah.
That's what's really amazing, is when you're just going about, and the non-physical or the tree people, that they do something to let
Yes.
you know that they're there.
Yeah. The
That
veil
feels
is,
really good.
yeah, the veil is definitely thinning, and also more and more people are becoming aware of things in the unseen worlds, which is just so amazing, because
It's fun.
I've known my entire life that there's more to this reality than what we see with our physical senses,
Me
see,
too.
feel, and hear and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's been a lonely road for a long time, but finally I'm getting a lot more company.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well,
So when I
I'm
say
having
it's been a lonely road, I don't mean that in a
don't
bad
feel
sense,
bad.
but yeah, but you
Don't
know
play
what I
your
mean?
violin for you.
Yeah, but no, but I just mean that there's not a
No,
lot
I
of
know what you
people
mean.
that were looking into what I was looking into, and I was very selective who I spoke to about things. Not because I really cared what people thought about me. I've always been a bit of a black sheep to certain degrees, or just, been very different to other people.
Yeah,
But
going your way.
but I just could never really talk to people that didn't get it. But as I said, more and more people are getting it, and people that I would never have even thought in a million years would be
I
talking
know.
about things now are starting to open
Yes.
up. It's just amazing.
I know.
Yeah.
On some of my side work is I do animal house sitting and dog training.
Yeah.
And so there is a house that this couple that live like 5 minutes from me, and I take care of their dogs when they go out of town, and I walk their dogs. And so she wanted to show me how to use the collar, that's the vibration collar, so that their dogs could I could take them off leash going through the woods.
Yeah.
So she had me meet up with her, and we're walking out there, and all of a sudden I am seeing like some trees. I couldn't believe it. I'm like seeing like tree manipulations out in there. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, and I just started talking about it. And I go, okay, this may sound weird, but I like, do you see all this? This is like what the Sasquatch people do.
Yeah.
And I don't know what made me feel like, and she was able to hear me. She wasn't like, okay, weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
How exciting. I would
I
have never
know.
thought in a million years that she would have been open to me talking about
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Yeah, I know. It's just amazing. All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Well, hang on for a minute. I'll just
Yeah.
finish the recording and then we'll just say
Okay.
our goodbyes. But yeah, so just for the podcast. So thank you so much today for coming on. And
Yeah.
yeah, we'll definitely do a part 2 down the track, because we could talk for another 2 or 3 or 20 hours about this sort of stuff.
I
So
know.
yeah. So
Okay.
all right. So yeah, so people, if you want to go to Trisha's YouTube channel, again, it's Exploring the Paranormal with Trisha Brown, and please like and subscribe to her channel. And yeah, because I like, I mean, I'm a relatively small channel too, but I think it's good to network and support one another when we're all on the same sort of healing journey. So
Yeah.
all
Thank you.
right, so I'll need to put my glasses on to see the screen. I can see you, but it's just the buttons down the bottom. Oh, I'm so professional at this. Okay, stop
I love it.
recording.